Hi, friends. I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.
Presenting you a little movie podcast starring Zach and Mitch.
Wait, we're doing a podcast?
We are, and this is another DC film.
Another DC film?
Yeah.
Which one? Is this in the DC universe, or is this the Robert Pattinson Batman universe, or is this the Joker universe?
This is the DCEU.
Okay.
This is
Solid.
Black Adam.
Black Adam.
And this is your number 8?
And my number 8.
I'm very excited to hear your thoughts on this.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But before we get to that, Black Adam, studios by Warner Brothers and DC Studios, and director is Sean Colette Serra. I'm so sorry if I butcher your names. And Zach, you are more than welcome to take the screenplay.
Yeah, absolutely. So the screenplay was written by Adam Sekiel, Rory Haynes, and Shohab Noshavarani. So in terms of director, I think he did okay.
Yeah, I agree.
In terms of script,
No.
not the best.
Yeah.
Really great character development. I feel like the characters really, really well written, but in terms of the actual story itself, it was lacking in that department. So let's maybe go to the drawing table again, friends. Definitely, I'm not saying you guys can't work together again. Obviously, you can, but maybe be a little bit more cohesive when you write stories. Because obviously, to me, you can write characters really well, but your stories need a little work.
Yeah, so quick summary. Thank you, IMDb. Nearly 5,000 years after he was bestowed with the almighty powers of the Egyptian gods and imprisoned just as quickly, Black Adam is freed from his earthly tomb, ready to unleash his unique form of justice on the modern world.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
All right. Zach, since I spoke that very long summary, do you want to say how we split up the episode?
Yeah, absolutely. So we split it up a little bit differently here. So we're going to go ahead and split it up into a non-spoiler section where we talk about the cast performances and just some non-spoiler plot points or some non-spoilerly things. And then we go ahead and move on to our review. Mitch will go ahead and talk about how we split up our reviews a little bit. But after our reviews, we go ahead and move into our spoiler section where we will sound off an alarm and we will move into any spoiler things that we really want to talk about.
Yeah. So, Zach, since this is your number 8, would you like to give your thoughts?
Yeah, absolutely. So I came in here really looking forward to this film because I'm really excited for the character of Black Adam to make their debut here in the DCEU, and I'm really excited who they casted as Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson to be Black Adam, which I was so excited for it. So we sat down in our AMC seats, had a slushie and a hot dog, and what transpired was, based off of the trailer, is exactly what I expected. Very light on story, but some really good characters. And it's always what I've honestly thought of DC and Marvel as a whole. I've always enjoyed DC characters, but always found their stories lacking. But I always loved Marvel stories, but found their characters kind of lacking. So I feel like it's just a very prototypical what I envisioned of DC Comics. Like, it's very great characters, but lacking in the story department.
So I had very not so high thoughts for this film because I don't know a lot about Black Adam, and I mentioned in our top 10 video recording a while back, I just wasn't excited for it. I like Dwayne Johnson, but to me, Black Adam just doesn't strike me as a very compelling character.
Sure.
So I kind of went in with not a lot of expectations.
Gotcha.
And the expectations, even if I did have great ones, they weren't met.
Gotcha.
This film just wasn't that great. All right, so let's talk about the cast.
Yeah.
Who's first?
Well, I mean, who else to start with than our title character of Black Adam?
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
He did well. I give him
He
credit.
really did. It was really cool to see a anti-hero in the DCEU. I think we didn't strive all the way into what Black Adam can be, because Black Adam is very much the darker hero. He looks out for himself in the interest of his kingdom. So he, while he's not a ruler in this one, he is the protector of starts with a K.
Kazdak.
Kazdak. I think that's what it is. And I thought Dwayne Johnson's presence really brought like a very nice sternness to the character. I thought he still had that ability to still make Black Adam still relatable and a little bit lovable. But I feel like in terms of script, they missed the mark on just how much of an anti-hero Black Adam is, because there is multiple times in the comics and in stories where Black Adam will just be like, nah, this is what I think, and fuck all y'all. Like, he literally just doesn't give a shit and does what he wants to do. Didn't really get a whole lot of that in this, which I was a little disappointed on, but overall, I really enjoyed the character that they did put on screen.
I want to talk about Pierce Brosnan as Kent Nelson and Dr. Fate, because he was a standout in this. Like, James Bond becoming a superhero, I love that. Like, he just brought this like cool suaviness to Dr. Fate that a lot of people probably want. I will say there were some things lacking. I think you and I both agree that the split personality disorder that he
was non-existent,
wasn't there. But other than that, I really enjoyed it. He did very, very well. So, yeah. But what'd you think?
I agree. I think you hit pretty much all that stuff. The split, part of me for the draw of Dr. Fate is the split personality between the two. When he puts on the helmet, it's supposed to be a completely different person. That's Dr. Fate. And it feels like Pierce Brosnan and Kent has a hold of the character the entire time. They mention it, like they put it in like a side, like, conversation between two characters that it's supposed to be a split personality, but it's not existent, and I'm sad about that. But in terms of performance, Pierce Brosnan does an amazing job. Like, his suaveness, it really does feel like an actor who's had years is giving portrayal to a character who has had years. So like, phenomenal job.
Yeah. Next up is Hawkman, and that's Aldous Hodge. He did okay.
He did all right.
Yeah, you gotta give him credit, especially for playing Hawkman, which kind of lame. But
normally a Hawkman is kind of lame, but I actually really did like the confidence that came from him, and he is the man who's like, I'm gonna lead this, and this is gonna work. I'd rather have a bad plan than no plan. Yeah. In terms of like having that character, it was really, really well done. And Hawkman was actually like relatively rich in this one, which I was like, oh, interesting. All right, solid.
Yeah, he did well. Okay, so those are our three ones that did well. We have two more cast performances that we thought didn't do very well. And one of them is Bodhi Sabongwe as Amon Tomaz, the kid.
Yeah. So I'll go ahead and take this lead on this one.
Take some acting lessons.
Well, because I know what they were trying to go for. What they were trying to do was do a character similar to the one that they did in Shazam, which be the nerd that really, really loves superheroes, that doesn't get powers and really looks up to superheroes. They wanted to kind of go in that route, which I understand where they were coming from, especially since I really did love that character in Shazam. But the thing that had that character going that this one is lacking is that at the heart of Shazam, Billy Batson is still in control of Shazam.
Right.
Like, it's still a kid under there. So you're talking about a kid with a kid. So that's relatable. And they grew as like really great best friends.
Right.
Black Adam is a full grown adult.
Yeah.
And this teenager is just kind of like this hunky-dory weird sidekick. And it just didn't mesh.
Right.
Like, it not saying that the character overall was bad, but it just missed the mark.
Yeah.
And then the actual actor himself was just not, it was too big to fill into the shoes, I feel. Like, he really didn't make very big choices. He didn't make any wholehearted things. He just played a nerd for the sake of a nerd, and it just really wasn't doing that well.
Yeah, the last one is Marwan Kenzari as Ishmael. Another bad performance.
If I have to rank this, like, this is a garbage disposal for both a character and a performance. How I got to know this actor specifically is from him playing Jafar in the live action Aladdin, which
Same.
I thought he did piss poor at, because he literally all he did was scream and have two expressions.
Yeah.
And that's when he had expression, because the dude doesn't have any expression on his face whatsoever, ever. And I've never enjoyed his performance in Aladdin, and this one was no different.
Yeah. So I think he needs some lessons, maybe.
He needs heavy lessons. The dude just is not great.
So there's our cast. We have some non-spoilery things. We have the soundtrack, which, I mean, it was there.
So yeah, the soundtrack really comes into play when it comes to the fight sequences.
Yeah, we'll
but it's as if like they were like, all right, this fight sequences is going really shit. We need music, and then they pull out their phone and are like, what's a good song? Fuck, play. And then like halfway through the fight, finally music kicks in, and I'm like, the fuck.
Yeah, that I didn't like it.
Like,
at all, so.
and like the songs are good songs on their own.
Yeah.
Like Paint It Black. I love Paint It Black, the song. And like there was another, I can't remember what the other song that they played
I don't
was.
remember it either.
But again, they just came in so late that it was just an afterthought. And I was like, what the fuck?
And the story and marketing for this.
It was weak marketing, because I feel like the marketing department didn't know what entirely the story was going to be.
Right.
And that's because the scriptwriters just were like, there's
Whatever.
not much of a story to begin with. So they basically just marketed Black Adam and Dwayne Johnson, and like that was it.
Pretty much.
And
but
that's really just the selling point of this movie.
it literally is. But the fight sequences, I got to give props to.
Yeah.
That was they were good. They were
Well, and I really loved seeing like Atomic Man and Dr. Fate and Hawkman and Dwayne Johnson as Black Adam.
Adam Smasher. Yeah.
Adam Smasher. I like actually like fight. Like that was a whole lot of fun to see that fight. The main villain fight was decent, but like it was still genuinely a fight, which was fun, and it made sense why like only Black Adam can be the one to fight this entity. So like like it made sense, but like that was also like one of the few highlights of this movie, I would definitely say.
So those are non-spoilers. So now we're entering our review section. And the way that we do it, we have 3 categories. We have ate it up, meaning we love this film. We definitely recommend you see it in theaters, don't wait to streaming. But yeah, we enjoyed it. We definitely recommend it.
Sure.
We have needs to cook a little more, meaning maybe a script change, an actor change, a director change, or any kind of change that would make this film better. Meaning we thought the film was just okay.
Yeah.
And the last one is Feed It to the Dog Jazz, who's nicely resting, meaning we did not enjoy the film. However, we still recommend that you see it and form your own opinion.
Yeah.
Can I take this one, Zach?
Yep, go ahead.
This is getting fed to the dog. I know we talked about it. I think this isn't as bad as Morbius,
Yeah.
but it's still not a good movie.
All right.
I am feeding this to the dog. It's just a lot of things that were going into this film just didn't hit. The performances of Dwayne Johnson, the fight sequences, and Pierce Brosnan save it from being a garbage disposal for me.
Gotcha.
Zach?
Yeah. So for me, I think that this needs to cook a little more. For me, the performances because ultimately what I went into it was I just need to make sure that the characters are okay coming out of this film. And they are. The main characters that I need, specifically Black Adam and Dwayne Johnson, came out really relatively well. And that's what I was hoping for coming out of this film, and it met that expectation. Now, the story and everything else definitely needs to cook a bit more. The director could use a different hand. Editing was decent, but script needed a lot of work, and casting needed a little bit more better casting. But ultimately, I feel like because the characters were really done well and a lot of performances actually met expectations, I believe that they actually saved it from me feeding it to the dog. So it's a decent launching off point. It's a decent launching off point. And that's where how you mentioned Morbius. Characters weren't salvageable, performances weren't salvageable, the script was in shambles. There was nothing redeeming about Morbius, which is why I fed it to the dog when we did. there was at least some decent redeeming qualities that I could at least pick out from this that I feel like it can launch into the DCEU, which is why I ultimately feel like that this to me is needs to cook a little more.
All right, so that's our thoughts and our review. We are about to enter our other territory. But before we go, for those of you that want to leave, thank you so much for joining us. Please feel to like, subscribe, email us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. But right now, we're entering our spoiler territory. Let's sound the alarm.
Wah, wah, wah. Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. This is time, my friends. We are in the spoiler territory. The first one, the villain reveal, was terrible.
It was terrible.
I hated it.
It was as if they basically tried to do the Shazam plot and then just didn't show the demons until like the last possible second. They're like, yeah, it's the demons. It's not those demons, but it's the demons. And you're like, okay.
Well, Ishmael gets the power because he's the descendant of a king.
Of the king that Black Adam faced originally, which I was like, okay.
Whatever.
Okay.
It was stupid. But can we talk about it?
Yeah, we can talk about
Henry Cavill is back as Superman.
Woohoo! The biggest cheer that the crowd made of the entire movie was Henry Cavill coming back.
Yeah, so Amanda Waller is played by Viola Davis. She is also in this. She has a nice holographic conversation with Black Adam, meaning stay out of the way. You're like
on house arrest, basically.
He can only stay in Kazdak, but Black Adam's like, no one can stop me. And then she's like, oh, I have multiple people. Yeah.
And he specifically goes, no one on this earth can possibly stop me. And she's like, don't worry. I got some friends that don't come from Earth.
Here comes Superman. He's like, with John Williams' score.
Yeah, with the John Williams score, which shocked me a little bit.
And he just goes, we should talk. And then it ends. And it kind of sets up what could happen in the DCEU. Well, and also let's think about it. If Henry Cavill is back, could Ben Affleck be back? Yeah. It could happen. Got to solve the Ezra Miller problem, though. But I think that will come in due time.
Yeah, well, I feel like that we'll have a little bit more of an answer once Flash actually comes out, whenever it decides to come out.
But I think we can also agree the Snyderverse is here to stay.
Yeah, I feel because of, the Discovery taking over Warner Brothers and everything, I feel like it was kind of in flux of whether they will do like a hard or soft reboot of this of the Snyderverse or DC. With Henry Cavill coming in this new movie, it's official. Like, it's gonna be the same characters. Whether or not we get like a new Batman later down the line or whatnot remains to be seen. But the Snyderverse is here to stay.
All right, that was Black Adam. That was fun. I love that.
It was a decent one. Yeah. I'm just happy that I'm not holding my head in shame from like a complete Morbius situation here.
Yeah, that was me.
Like I feel like if we're because I feel like Black Adam is going to be compared to Morbius a whole bunch.
It will be. I will say Black Adam is better than Morbius.
And that's ultimately what it comes down to. If you were to tell me if I have to rewatch one of them, it's Black Adam, hands down. It's not even a competition.
Yeah, but that's our episode.
That's it, right, my friends? So again, if you have any comments, concerns, questions, want to go ahead and join us for an episode and being one of our commentators, please let us know by emailing us at elpodcastmz@gmail.com. But until that time, my friends, I'm Zach.
I'm Mitch.
And we are an excellent little podcast.